Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions, and magic.
We have a good guest today. Her name is Katie Beecher. She's a medical and spiritual intuitive. She does intuitive readings for people and also for animals. And we want to welcome you, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Clarify something too, because Eden is a medium and connects with past loved ones and spirit guides and does inner child work. And I am an intuitive and do intuitive readings, but neither of us do anything related to medical. So this is different than anything we've ever had. So we're extra excited to have you on, Katie.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do. What I do really encompasses everything. It's totally mind, body, and spirit. And I look at every single thing that's impacting people and ever has, because it's down to, root cause healing. And but it's not just people who are sick. It's also just people who want help with relationships and career stuff and, like basically everything. So it's a really fun way to work because I get to look at every part of people's lives and, kind of meet them where they're at.
Yeah. And I feel like just because I don't know if I'm being biased, but it is even more to me helpful than doing it like just in therapy, going to an actual like psychiatrist or psychologist. I think because we could get to go deeper.
Yes.
Yeah. You find that too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been a licensed counselor for, over 30 years. And yeah. I always worked really intuitively. I always just kind of listened and let my guides tell me what to say. But yeah, I mean, and because I do, there's reports and paintings before I ever meet somebody just with a name and age, like I already tell them so much stuff. And so they don't have to go through their whole life story because it's basically already there. So we can already get into some pretty intense issues. We don't have to kind of start from the beginning.
Yes.
What led you to doing this? Like, how did it all start and how did it turn into doing readings and paintings and everything that you do?
Like a lot of people, I started my life kind of, pretty screwed up. And really screwed up. I had an eating disorder that was pretty much on the verge of killing me. And I was throwing up 3 times a day and just a total mess. And at 16, I decided either I was going to take my life or I was going to get help. And, I had a suicide plan and it was pretty serious. But I have to call it divine intervention. I'm not really sure exactly what it was, but I just came home from school one day and decided that I was going to call our pediatrician. And I didn't tell my parents, didn't tell anybody. I'd never told anybody about any of this stuff. And I called him and told them what I was doing. And at first he sort of was like, yeah, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, no, it's a really big deal. So he referred me to a Jungian therapist. And for people who don't know about Carl Jung, he was really a visionary, and everything that people are doing now, including like Louise Hay and Tara Brach and all that, it's all based on Carl Jung, who was very into looking at, connecting with intuition and listening to your spiritual and psychic abilities and getting to the spiritual root causes, like the symbolic reason for symptoms, for example, all the things that people think are all new. None of those are new. So I worked really hard in therapy, and she helped me to connect to intuition and my body. And a lot of the techniques that I still use and teach people and are in my book, we did. And that just set me on the road to not only my own recovery, but deciding that I was going to use everything that I had been through to go forward and help others and show them that they could recover from things and find their authentic selves. And, basically that was kind of the beginning of it all.
Love it.
Yeah.
The Jungian, his theories and all of that. It's just, does he talk about inner child as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all the archetypes, basically. I mean, I guess the inner child could be called, an archetype in an aspect of the personality that's universally recognized. So yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But reading someone, how does it work with the painting that you do?
Oh, yeah. So I get someone's name and age. That's it. And I create the report first. It's very long and extensive. And then the second piece is to create intuitive soul paintings. And I'm trying to think, I have about 8,000 of these things in front of me. So these are just a couple of examples. They're all very different. That's one. This is another. Oops, there we go. But they're literally all different. And most of the time they're figurative, or they're an insect or an animal. And they give me additional information as on the report, but also new information. And what I love about it is that if I am listening to my guides and writing down their words, as a human, I can interpret that and make assumptions. And I try really, really hard not to. I'm really good at just writing things down. But with the colors and the symbols and the shapes, I can't, read more into that. And I really don't know what it all means until, I've been talking to them for a while, and then I let my guides interpret the painting. So it really, it's kind of like art therapy, in that you're getting information from a deeper source, and it's not filtered through words. So I'm able to get some really incredibly important information. And so all the colors mean things, the placement on the body means things, how your hands are, like if they're up or down, or, different energy and different chakras. I often pick up, sexual abuse and trauma, for example, in the second chakra area, with different colors of red or things like that. And so it's just kind of, it allows my clients also to talk about that and not necessarily have to come up with the words themselves, because it's symbolically showing up on their paintings.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's unique. Yeah, I've only heard of, we had a guest on a while back that we've met with, that's in Mount Shasta, Haruko, and she does intuitive soul paintings as well. And they don't look exactly like yours. Yours are very unique, but they have something that kind of is similar. Like, so that's interesting. Didn't you see that, Eden?
Well, I saw the divine feminine in that first one. I don't know if that's what you were getting.
There's literally so many. I go through, like, from the top down.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And interpret every little teeny piece of it.
Oh, that's even more detailed. Okay.
Very
Yeah.
detailed. It has an overall feel as well, but it's very, from the top, like every color in a certain shape means something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, we literally go through and are like, okay, this color here means, and this is where I started, and this is this. And yeah, so we can get really detailed.
That's awesome. That's so detailed. Yeah.
It's really fun.
We noticed, we were very impressed that you were called Eerily Accurate by Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, and you were in Kourtney Kardashian's Poosh and Kora Organics. Can you describe what you did for them? Like, what made them say that to you?
Yeah, sure. For Goop, I did a reading for the person who works right. She worked right under Gwyneth, so she was like, the head of the everything except what Gwyneth did. And so I basically did a reading for her, just name and age, and did the whole 9 yards. And they wrote a couple. There's like 4 articles about me. So that was really, really cool. I do a lot of that kind of thing for celebrities or whatever, but there's always a little more pressure.
I get it.
Yeah,
I know.
And the same with Miranda Kerr. I did a reading for her, and did some stuff for Poosh and all that. So basically, just people want to know what I do, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it, so you can get feel for the experience.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like we will attract whoever we're meant to work with, I guess. And it doesn't have to be forced. They'll just come to you. That's how I love that. When you tune in with people, when you do readings for people, and you pick up on illnesses, how does that work? So is it that you detect the illness before they mention it to you, or before they even have symptoms, or is it after, like, they tell you what's going on and then you'll help them?
No. So all I know when I start the reading is the name and age. I know nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't see a picture. I don't, and the less I know, the better, because I can interfere with my guides if I start making assumptions about people. So I don't want to know anything. And if I do, if it's somebody that I kind of know, then I have to go deeper because I don't want to hear what I already know about them. That's boring. And it really varies, because some people who come to me do have physical issues. Some have emotional, some just want to be closer to their intuition and learn how to explore that more. Some, as I said, want more career stuff. But the cool thing about the reports is that it literally touches on every single aspect of people's lives. So I will pick up symptoms, hopefully, all kinds of different root causes, physical, emotional, and spiritual, point out, trauma, childhood experiences. I pick up things for their relatives in spirit often. I pick up things for people that they're close to. I teach them how to connect to intuition. Like, it's really a very, in-depth process. But as far as the medical stuff, I'm very responsible about that. And it's illegal and unethical for me to diagnose.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
A lot of people who do what I do not respect that. And that is problematic. So I will point out symptoms, and I can say something like, symptoms such as Lyme or stuff like that. And then I can say, I feel like this is what it is, but let me refer you to, medical people that I trust, so that you can get further tested and get medical treatment. And we can work on a lot of aspects of it. But I can't, officially diagnose, because that's just not okay.
Yeah. Right. And then when you do pick up on something other than Lyme, because Lyme is caused by a tick bite, but if it was something that was connected to something they've repressed emotionally, that's where you can help them, right?
I can help with like so many different aspects of it, because we talk about nutrition, we talk about physical things, we talk about, it's everything. It's very comprehensive. But even Lyme, for example, people contract it during times of stress, or during times when maybe they're not taking care of themselves, or there's triggers for things, because I think a lot of us have the Lyme bugs and things already in us, whether they were expressed by our families, or, you walk around and you don't necessarily have a reaction to a tick or a spider bite or a mosquito bite. And maybe it's because of, like a really stressful time where you get fired or you lose your house or something, that stress then triggers that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's important to look at everything going on in a person's life. And I also find that people often, they don't feel comfortable using their voice. They don't know what they're actually feeling. And so they've been taught to repress it, like I was for a million years. So sometimes they need to feel like they need an excuse to say no, or for self-care or something. And so they think, well, I'm sick, so people will understand that, and I have to teach them, like, no, you're allowed to say no, and you're allowed to take care of yourself, whether you're healthy, sick, or whatever. So it's getting down to that, what is the lesson here behind these symptoms?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
question. A friend came to mind that she got told, and she feels that she has ADHD. And I noticed that you had a post about that, and she feels like she has a coach that's helping her to try to manage and get her life more organized and together, and not be so distracted by things. but you talk about healing ADHD by talking to it and using mindfulness. Can you tell us more about like the signs if an adult does have that, and what is it? What causes it?
The causes are many. It's part of many different disorders. It's part of many different, medical and spiritual issues. I mean, Lyme, for example, can cause ADHD symptoms. Depression and anxiety can cause it. Nutritional deficiencies can cause it. Gut issues. There's so many things that it's kind of I'm not in love with any labels because it's very hard to, there's like this stigma or this assumption when you have a label that it's this way. And,
right.
Like Lyme or any of these things, ADHD, they're so different for everyone. And the symptoms can be really different for everyone. And that's why it's important to look at the physical, emotional, and spiritual, underlying this. But I do kind of want to, when you talked about like the mindfulness and the talking to things, one of the things that I learned during my recovery that I teach others, and again is in my book, is to look at illness and symptoms differently, and to look at them instead of feeling like you have to fight them, like they're out to get you, they're your enemy. Example, I talked to it, I wrote to it, and I let it write back to me. And I treated it like a friend. So I said, why are you here? What do you need me to know? How can I be more authentic? How can I help you heal? And I can honestly say it was absolutely one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I'm doing work now, because I learned to be authentic, because I learned to love myself. I mean, just so many things stemmed from that it literally, to look at it like it was my enemy, which of course it felt like that. It felt horrible, and it was horribly difficult, but recovering from it made me who I am now. And I'm a pretty happy person with a pretty neat career.
Yeah. I love being able to look at things like that because, and it's practice, because when you're in it, you feel trapped or frustrated or, like, get this off of me or whatever. But practice of just, settling into it and going, I am in my body. This is here for a reason. What can I do about it?
Yes, I think when I would go through things, first thing I would do was go to fear and just want to get rid of it, make it go away. And then when I learned how to surrender and just listen to it and learn from it, it wasn't even as bad.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's happening to us.
Yeah.
So you feel that's what's so scary. We don't feel like we have any control. We don't feel empowered.
Yeah.
And so to take ownership of it and to be like, okay, I'm going to kind of maybe even embrace this thing and think about how it's changed me. What good has come out of this? What am I able to do now that I wasn't able to do before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you
I did.
So it's not in your body anymore, because I thought it was like once you have it, you have it.
Yeah, and that's what traditional medicine would like you to think.
Right.
No, I do not have it anymore. I haven't had, and I had Lyme, all of the co-infections. I had mold. I had all that other stuff. It is not detectable with any means anymore. That was, I don't even know, 9 years ago or something. So, and it's also kind of like, I have a lot of people that I work with who have cancer or who have recovered, and traditional medicine says, well, you're in remission, meaning you always have to watch for the thing to come back. You always have to live in fear. You always have to keep her safe, Yeah. And you can be really responsible and do all your checkups and your tests and everything, but you don't have to live in fear. Like, you can say, I am healed, and still do responsible stuff. But it really, I think it sets people up for getting sick again, or things like that when you're just living in constant anxiety.
Yeah. And you have a book called Heal from Within.
I do.
Everything you're saying, I think, is in the book. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah. It's a lot of different things. Most of it takes people through, like if they were getting a reading from me, it kind of takes people through the home version of that. And you learn to connect to your intuition and figure out what your specific issues are. And then you go in detail through all the chakras and address all of the different root causes and the things going on. And yeah, there's a lot of tools and charts and all that kind of stuff, but it really gets in depth. And then you can address your issues individually at your own pace. You can kind of choose what you want to address first, as well as get a really good overall picture.
We need the book.
Yeah.
Everyone needs the book.
I think we were talking about, I think if people can realize that also going through something like an illness or, Lyme or anything like arthritis, whatever, it does make you more compassionate and non-judgmental to other people. Whereas maybe before you were like, oh, they're sick and weird, or, they're weak, or, just silly beliefs. When someone experiences, I've seen them shift and go, oh my gosh, like I have so much empathy and compassion for all these people now, and I've had that too, like where throughout the last, 20 years of my life or so, I feel like the compassion and empathy has grown so high to where I really don't judge anyone. Like I'm able to really look deeply into someone's soul and see what they're going through.
And also for yourself. I think we're all way too hard on ourselves. Right. And to go through stuff. And I think it helps. Hopefully it helps you be more compassionate towards your own self and understand your strengths. Then, I work with a lot of people who've been through trauma, and I'm always like, give yourself credit for how strong you are and everything you've been through. And, like people don't do that. They're either focused on the past or the future, but there's not a lot of like, yeah, you know what? It was hard, and I'm not going to have a life with no problems or anything, but I really kicked ass, and, everything after this might be easier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, shifting topics, in your book, you also talk about visiting family can sometimes trigger old trauma and bring symptoms. And I definitely hear that a lot with clients, like, oh, I'm setting boundaries with friends, but how do I do that with my family? And then they end up spending time with family and they're like shot for a month, filled with weird emotions and feeling sick. And so can you talk about this a bit?
I sure can. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that with my own family. I've had to put up very strong boundaries and do no contact and, and all sorts of things. Part of the healing from the eating disorder, that was the start of me really saying, I don't have to be the way that they want me to be. I don't have to buy into the crap. I don't have to act like them. And so it helped me to realize that I was really different, and it took me a while to actually do the no contact and really stand up for myself. And it's a process and, all that. So go at your own pace, but, and it's really hard because when you finally start to stand up for yourself, you get ridiculed, you get called crazy, people don't want anything to do with you. And, just because you are related to someone doesn't mean that they get to treat you like crap. Yeah. In fact, you should expect more from them. And so I work with people a lot on, maybe you don't want to go full contact tomorrow, but what are some steps that you can take, concrete steps to get you used to using your own voice? And it could be things like, waiting 24 hours to respond to a text, or not calling someone back immediately, or saying, no, I'm not, we're going to spend the holidays with ourselves this year. Or, there's things that you can do to kind of get yourself used to how the difficult reactions are going to be. But it's incredibly important that we know how we feel, that we treat ourselves well, that we expect other people to treat us well, and not get caught up in the guilt. There's a lot of manipulation in families, and enmeshment and codependency, and it's okay to take care of yourself. There's a lot of crazy stories in my book about my crazy family. But yeah,
I'm sure I can relate. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a real issue for so many people, but I think a lot of younger people are breaking the cycle. And, I really see that raising their families differently than how they were raised. And so I'm really seeing a lot of growth in people.
Yeah.
That's
beyond your expertise from going, having a degree. I'm not sure you have a degree, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have certifications, all of that. But do you find that you also get a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom from spirit?
Oh, I mean, every reading I do, and it's, there's counseling involved, like it all comes from my guides. It all comes from spirit.
Okay.
I mean, it's all from my experience. I mean, my personal experience or experience working with others, like it all meshes together. But yeah, the first voice I hear is from spirit, and I go from there.
Yeah. Okay. That's something I can relate to as well. What'd you say, Kim?
Do you experience it through, like, for example, Eden gets hers through automatic writing, and she gets word for word from people, and then I get mine more kind of like a intuitive, claircognizant way. How do you receive your messages?
Every single way possible.
Yeah.
I see things in my head. I see pictures. I see scenes. I hear words in my head. I have feelings in my body. I smell things. Just the knowing of whatever, the mediumship stuff. Since I've been doing this for so long, it didn't start off that way, but the more open I was to just saying, all right, let me see this, also through writing, the way that I talk to my guides is through a written exercise where I write to them, they write back to me, so, and through the artwork, through symbolism, which is really cool too. So yeah, all of it.
Are you able to turn it off when you're having downtime?
Oh yeah. I have to. And again, I think part of that was it started in my family because I had to create huge boundaries between me and other family members and put up defenses. And when I was really, really young, I picked up what felt like evil energy. And so, I shut things off for quite a while. And that was actually good training, because even now, I see a limited number of people each week because it would be too much. And I do definitely need my time, to myself and to recharge. And, some of the, like I create the reports and paintings before I meet with people. So, there's some of that time factor, but yeah, I can definitely, feel when I've been a little bit too open and work on that. And, but yeah, the boundaries are super important.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I've had to learn to set those boundaries as well, because sometimes I have been in, like, at a party and I would suddenly not feel good, and I knew it was one particular person, and I had to learn how to turn that off.
For sure.
But yeah, do you get that? I have a lot of people who ask me, why can't you just, if you're suddenly pick up a message, why can't you tell me? And I decide, no, I'm not. I do it in a professional capacity, and that's it. Is that how you are?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's respecting their boundaries.
Yeah.
Because, I don't read people unless I'm given permission. That's again, another boundary respecting thing. So not that I don't pick up stuff, but I don't want to be in your business. I have enough stuff in my own head. I don't need to be in your head, So yeah, unless it's like a really good friend and I know like they've asked me about something or whatever, I'm fine with it. But yeah, no, I don't need to be on all the.
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.